I do appreciate being here. I'm executive director of the Phillips Foundation. We were founded in 1990 by my boss, Tom Phillips, who is now the chairman of Eagle Publishing down the street here. The Journalism Fellowship Program we launched in 1994. It was the brainchild of Bob Novak, who was one of our founding trustees, and as you all know, Bob sadly passed away last August. But he had served for years as a judge for another organization's Journalism Fellowship Program, and was really not very pleased with the types of projects that were awarded. So when he became involved with the Phillips Foundation, he suggested that we launch a program for young journalists early in their careers to undertake year-long writing projects that would to some degree, mirror our mission to promote individual liberty, limited government, free enterprise, those types of things.
There are strong economic arguments for full repeal and permanent repeal of the death tax. Those only resonate so far. Tax geeks and economic wonks, we might get that, but as far as the general public is concerned, those arguments don't really go too far. But when you put a face on this, when you show the real life impact that the tax has, then you can see the needle moving, people starting to move against the tax. So we commissioned a set of 4 videos of small family-owned businesses that have been impacted by the death tax. You can see, but we actually have a death tax website. It's on, as of right now, the current Heritage page. You come to heritage.org. There's a button in the bottom right-hand corner. It says Death Tax, Burden on America. You can see all our research on the death tax. You can see all the papers we've written, the blog posts we've done, all the videos, and everything else that we've done on the death tax is right there in one spot. I'm not sure where it will be when we switch over in a couple weeks to the new site, but for right now, it's right there. And you can always go to it at www.heritage.org/death-tax.
So on November 13th, we've spent months putting together evidence and working with several attorneys and other organizations to kind of build a case against Andy Stern. When the story started coming out that he was visiting the White House all the time, he had unlimited access to Obama. I mean, we always knew that, but we didn't really know to what extent. So you have a packet, and this is a letter we sent the United States Attorney. Now, the acting U.S. Attorney is Channing Phillips, and ultimately it's his jurisdiction to prosecute and to investigate all violations of the Lobbying Disclosure Act, and this is what we're talking about. Now, anybody can lobby. You can go visit your senator to talk about a tax in your home state, and that's technically lobbying. But if you spend more than 20% of your time every quarter actively engaged in lobbying, which is also preparing for your lobbying visits, research, phone calls, etc., you have to register with the Lobbying Disclosure Act. You have to comply with the Lobbying Disclosure Act, which means you have to be a registered lobbyist. If you're not a registered lobbyist and you spend more than 20% of your time per quarter actively engaged in lobbying or lobbying activities, you're in violation of the LDA. Andy Stern was registered as a lobbyist until January of 2007 when he deregistered. So I guess if you're a lobbyist and Obama says, we're not working with lobbyists, and you want to work with Obama, you just deregister and keep lobbying. Well, that's what Andy Stern did. The 13 days come from his 11 White House visits in one quarter, plus personal Twitter and other press accounts that show that he's meeting with members. That's the 13 days. That's your 20% threshold. That should be enough evidence to at least have the Attorney General respond. Of course, we've gotten no such response. Our first response is a copy of the letter in here from the Senate Secretary saying we acknowledge we've received your stuff.
What is the AWF mainly trying to achieve with the investigation of Mr. Stern and Ms. Berger of the SEIU?
Well, we want to make sure that everyone's being treated equally under the Lobbying Disclosure Act. The fact that myself as a lobbyist has to register, everyone that works at AWF has to register as a lobbyist. I think that if Obama is saying, I'm the most transparent guy in history, we have the most transparent administration in history, and then he says, well, I'm not going to work with lobbyists either. The fact that he has someone of high influence like Andy Stern, who appears to be actively lobbying, who's not registered as a lobbyist, then I think the Obama administration has the obligation and responsibility to do something. Either, work with him to figure out exactly what's going on. We would like to see the United States Attorney investigate this matter and find out if he is indeed breaking the law, if he's violating the Lobbying Disclosure Act. If he is, he needs to register as a lobbyist, pay the fine, and the penalty calls for jail time, but I doubt he'll get jail time. But we think everyone just needs to be treated equally under the law, and that Obama should not be giving special privileges to his friends who have given him considerable amounts of money and who have a lot of influence in policy with bringing out votes for the left, et cetera.
What else could the media do to have a positive interest for your case, for the AWF's case in the investigation?
We would like them to just follow up on it. The fact that we've never heard back from the House clerk, who has the authority to refer this matter and to look into it to the United States Attorney for prosecution. The fact that we've never heard back from the United States Attorney's Office. The media can help pressure these agencies and organizations to actually respond. There are several levels of due diligence here that haven't even been done. We've had no response from them. We've had no response from Andy Stern. And I think just pointing out the hypocrisy that surrounds this whole thing helps give the public a better idea of exactly what's going on in Washington and how this administration, is playing games. It is politics as usual, and it is Washington as usual. Things haven't changed. In fact, it seems like more laws that were supposed to protect interest groups and supposed to protect the administration, et cetera, are now just being overlooked. And I think that there's a responsibility on the side of the media to have accuracy in reporting and to look into this. It's appalling how so many mainstream media outlets can just overlook something like this.